you can give yourself qualities. Maddie is based on me, and yes, I've been a ballroom dancer, and Maddie's also a writer, but Maddie's also a professional singer, which I am definitely not, but it's something I've always wanted to do, so I sort of gave her singing ability, and so that was sort of fun. And so she's also a singer, and so, you know, one of the songs that I used at one point in the story, early on in part 2, was I had her involved with the dance studio, which in real life I worked for Fred Astaire when I moved to Boca Raton, you know, part-time in the evening. But I made this showcase that they did also sort of a musical thing, which involved singing, and I don't know if anyone's familiar with the musical Les Mis, or has seen it. It's one of my absolute favorite musicals. So at that point in the story, the song On My Own that Ethelene sings in that one very sad scene sort of fit. Maddie had just broken up with Ken, just found out that the love of her life was engaged to another woman and just let him go. And I have her sing that song in this particular showcase that she's in, and specifically because that song sort of fits with what's going on with the story. Other songs like The Spinners, Then Came You, I chose just because it's a Philly sound, it's a Philly groove, it's sort of also to tie in with the characters' heritage and where they came from. So that was a lot of fun. And I also incorporated brand names. So, you know, when Maddie and Ken meet at the club, he offers her a beer. She says, I don't drink, but I don't have anything against it, but I'm just not a beer drinker. And I remember asking for a bottle of water that night. So in chapter 1, I can't throw a bottle of Poland spring water. And then when we get to South Florida, we're talking about Dover Hills. It's just, you know, just fun little things that just use little details that I was aware of when I was writing the book to really help sort of, again, set that scene and keep the reader sort of engaged. And I find myself, like, when I read a book, when it's fiction anyway, I want to feel like I really went somewhere, I went on a mini vacation, and I really try to, as a writer, sort of create that same sort of feeling. And hopefully people that read my book will feel that way, that, you know, just like Don said, he couldn't put it down. I've been fortunate that a lot of people have told me that, and that's music to every writer's ears, right? You know, when somebody says, I couldn't put your book down. One of my friends said to me, I neglected my kids all weekend because I couldn't stop reading. So, and a couple of other literary devices that I use also was flashback, juxtaposition. You know, when the story opens up, you know, Maddie and Carmen are speeding down the Atlantic City Expressway, and she's yelling at her to slow down, and you know, and we sort of set the personalities of the characters. We have this free-spirited girl, Carmen, and Maddie's sort of the more cautious one, and worried, and wondering if she's going to have a good time. And still, there's a discussion about a previous relationship Madeline had, and that she's still insecure about. And so they're driving down, and they get there, and they're getting ready, and then we switch the scene to now we meet Ken, and he's getting ready to go to this club, and he's kind of reluctant about going. But his friends have kind of talked him into it. And so I sort of built the drama by going back and forth in that kind of a way. I used a lot of water imagery, not surprising, throughout the book, to sort of tie in with the title. But also in real life, for example, when I went through panic and anxiety disorder, probably the only time I felt good was when I was in the water, whether I was in the pool, in the ocean, or taking a shower. It seemed to be like the only time that I got relief from those crazy symptoms. And so, you know, and that's the same is true with Maddie. And I've also, in the words that I've chosen, the phrases, I sort of tie that water imagery throughout. So the book, to try to give the book a little bit of I try to give it a little bit of almost like a dreamlike quality as well. Because when she goes through the heavy-duty part of it is pretty upsetting, and so I try to sort of balance it out a little bit so that the reader doesn't get too personal during the worst phases. But again, and the Deerfield Fishing Pier, I don't know if anyone's familiar with South Florida or Deerfield Beach, I've never been there, but there's a beautiful fishing pier that I actually live very close to now as well, and I certainly lived really close to it when I first moved there, when I lived in Pompano, and it was the place I would go. It's just about a mile into the ocean. It's really nice, and people fish off of it, and you know, they charge you $1 to get on there, but it's beautiful, it's really well done, and at night it's just so peaceful, and so I used to go there a lot to try to just clear my mind and just relax and just sort of try to figure out what I was going to do next. And so with each of my characters, I set that up as the place that they go to when they need to talk or when they need to figure things out. And so that plays sort of a prominent role. And again, you know, by the ocean, tying in again with the whole water sign title. So in the end, you know, there is, as I said, reconciliation. There's certainly renewal of faith. Because of these challenges that these characters both go through. And I will also say that Ken is a character that does the right thing as well. Like he, you know, as time goes on and now they're sort of leading separate lives, and as an author I'm sort of explaining what's going on with Maddie, and then we go back to Ken, and they sort of, their lives intersect marginally throughout part 2. And we learned that Ken's really not that happy in his situation, and he realizes that maybe he made a bad decision, but he honors his commitment. And I'm very much, I mean, I'm not that kind of person. I very much believe in people honoring their commitments, either trying to fix things or choosing to, in this case in the book, they do end up divorced, but it has nothing to do with anything that Madeline has ever done. By the time he comes back into her life, that's already happened, and it's had nothing to do with her. And I feel very strongly about that. I don't believe in, I wasn't going to make any of my characters a homewrecker. I feel very strongly about, either fix it, do your best to fix it, or get a divorce. But certainly there's no, in my book, the characters might be tempted, but there's no infidelity. That was something that I felt very strongly about, and certainly, and proving, and showing that, these values are hard to live up to. But that's what makes them, that's where the merit is, in striving and to live up to them. And that's how we become better people. And nobody said it was going to be easy or that everything was going to be bed of roses, but you become better people through that. And so I was really conscious as an author to make sure that it wasn't like, well, they meet up again and he's still married and, things go on from there. By the time he comes back, he's a free man. And another reason, again, getting back to the self-publishing issue, I was really concerned that I didn't want somebody, even if my manuscript was accepted, I didn't want a literary agent saying, well, you need to change this or this, or take out the references to God, or the references to Maddie going to church. I felt very strongly about that. So another sort of benefit to being self-published is that you are in control. And like I said, I've had I knew that there was a market out there, and the book has been well received by those who have read it up to this point. And so I'm hoping that with persistence, as Don said, that it will sort of get out there on a national level. And but it's been a lot of fun, just meeting people like everyone here and just discussing it. And I really appreciate all of you coming out here tonight. And how are we doing on time, Don? Okay. I wasn't sure. So I thought maybe we could just, if anybody had any questions, we could, I'd certainly be happy to answer them. Sure. Hey, Teresa.
Sorry, I'm wondering why, when you sat down, you didn't go for a memoir rather than fiction.
Because I felt like I could do, well, it's tricky. It is tricky when you're, I guess I was very cognizant of not wanting to hurt people that I loved, and I thought if I fictionalized it and just sort of explained it, look, it's a work of fiction, and even though I'm drawing from real life, I don't blame anyone. I believe that we all make our own choices in the end, but I certainly wanted to present some of the conflicts that were from real life, and I thought if I did that sort of as a memoir, then that might be, I felt like that might cause a little too much pain for other people, so, and as it is, I did explain to, my family, like I said, the whole point of this book is that we're all human beings, we're all flawed. Certainly Madeline does things that are wrong, and it's only through forgiveness and through personal growth that we learn to overcome those things. So I just felt like I could probably do more with fiction also because I knew I wanted to write a sequel, and I knew I wanted to kind of go back in time and sort of make a series out of it. Because I love, one of the things when I was a kid, I loved Little House on the Prairie books, the Laura Ingalls Wilder books. And hers were pretty much like straight out of real life, but I thought I kind of was thinking of a modern version of that, where I would take different chunks of time in my family, and now that I have these characters established, I can do that. So,